File item 54, AB 1267.
Yes, indeed, and I think my witnesses are here. So thank you, Mr. Chair and Senators. I would first like to accept the committee's amendments and thank the committee's counsel for their collaboration on this bill, AB 1267. California, New Mexico, and Mississippi are the only states that have no minimum age to marry. Under existing California law, a child may marry or enter into a marriage or domestic partnership with parental consent and approval of a court. Research has shown that women who marry as children face lifelong consequences, including limited educational opportunities, lower economic mobility, and a greater risk for violence and unwanted pregnancies. Many organizations, including Human Rights Watch and the U.S. State Department, consider marriage before age 18 to be a human rights abuse and a form of child abuse. California statute sets the age of a majority, meaning who is considered to be an adult, at 18 years old. Although California grants minors certain rights, the age of majority plays a crucial role in determining when individuals are granted certain rights and responsibilities, including the right to vote, enter into contracts, and make important legal decisions. Notably, the age of sexual consent in California is 18 without exception, meaning that any child who engages in sexual intercourse with a minor can be charged with statutory rape, unless that individual is the spouse of the minor. When a minor enters a marriage, a sexual relationship that would otherwise be illegal under California law is transformed into a legally recognized relationship. Even with judicial approval, child marriage can undermine statutory rape protections and has been documented as a tool used by abusers and traffickers to maintain control over minors. California must protect our kids and end child marriage once and for all. To achieve that, AB 1267 sets the minimum age for marriage at 18. With me today in support are Darcy Totten, the Executive Director of the California Commission on the Status of Women and Girls, and Christina Sutton, a survivor of child marriage. And for technical questions, we have Rosanna Carvacho Elliott is here on behalf of Unchained at Last. However, before I turn over to my witnesses in support, I would like to give my joint author, Assemblymember Petrie-Norris, a warrior in this fight, an opportunity to say a few words about why this bill is important. Did you know I was calling you Dim?
Right.
Okay, just say a couple of things. Yeah.
Can I just suggest?
I'll take my water.
There's a declining interest.
All right.
Well, good evening, Senators. Good evening, Mr. Chair. I appreciate the opportunity to speak briefly in support of AB 1267. So proud to stand here with Assemblymember Pellerin as her joint author on this measure, something we've been working on together for many years. When I first learned that there was no minimum age for marriage in the state of California, I was shocked and horrified. This bill is an important step to ensure that we are protecting young women and girls across the state. The Human Rights Commission considers marriage under the age of 18 to be a human rights abuse, and I think it's long past time that we end that abuse here in California. So thank you, Assemblymember Pellerin, for your leadership and your partnership, and respectfully ask for your aye vote at the appropriate time.
All righty. Thank you very much. Witnesses in support of AB 1267, please approach the microphone. 2 primary witnesses in support, 2 primary witnesses in opposition.
Good evening, Chair and Committee. Thank you for the opportunity to speak tonight. I'm Darcy Totten. I serve as the Executive Director of the California Commission on the Status of Women and Girls. We are a proud co-sponsor of AB 1267. We want to start with just the heart of the issue, which is that this is not a bill about teenagers having sex or babies or pregnancy. It's not even about preserving their bodily autonomy, as some opposition has suggested. It's about marriage and their ability to enter into a really broad legal contract. Historically, girls being married off before the age of 18 has been used as a mechanism for adults to evade accountability for statutory rape, domestic violence, human trafficking, and other gender-based violence, acting as a legal shield for predators and for traffickers. Girls in child marriages are at particularly high risk of experiencing domestic violence, of homelessness, financial dependency, and other abuse. These minors often end up becoming extremely reliant on their spouse, as they have limited autonomy to do things like hire their own lawyer, seek protective orders, or even stay in domestic violence shelters before they turn 18. In the case of pregnancy, which we hear a lot, marriage is really not the solution. Our data shows that the average age difference between, say, a 15-year-old mother and the father of that child is about 4 to 6 years, with a significant portion of those fathers being legal adults. For mothers under 15, the studies report that the average father's age is around 22. That's an even larger gap. With the age of consent being 18 years old, this legislation would align marriage to that existing law. But what we're looking at here is that what the marriage does do in most of these cases is change the status of the adult male involved from rapist to husband, which is not a great approach to that. So, as we said, it's not really about sex, it's about marriage. That's a legal contract. It confers about 1,138 federal statutory rights and a few hundred others state by state. I'm a queer person who fought really hard for those rights, and I'm deeply familiar with why it matters. But I'm also very aware of the fact that a lot of those rights and responsibilities are not things we normally trust to children.
All right.
Respectfully, we ask for your aye vote.
Thank you very much. All right. Next witness, please.
Good evening, Mr. Chair and Senators. My name is Christina Sutton. I live and work in San Francisco. Some frame child marriage as a choice driven by love. That framing sidesteps a hard truth. Adults don't always act out of love, and parents don't always act in a child's best interest. AB 1267 would have protected me. I was 16 when a nearly 22-year-old man began a sexual relationship with me within hours of meeting me. The legal term for that is statutory rape. Within months, I was faced with marrying him. I had never wanted to date him. My parents were aware of this, yet he had their full support. When stuck between a rock and a hard place, California allowed me to be legally chained to that rock, and they called it a marriage. To this day, I wish I had had just a few more months to turn 18 and legally remove myself from both situations. Would I have finished high school or attended college? Instead, I felt like a commodity. I remember sitting in a judge's chambers in Napa and being asked point blank, "Are you being forced to do this?" Like most abused children, I chose lying to a judge over risking escalation at home. I repeated exactly what my parents had coached me to say. I am very mature for my age. I am choosing this. I carried that re-victimization for years, believing that by speaking those words, I had somehow chosen what I was forced to do. The failure of every adult around me is appalling. That the marriage was legal does not absolve California of responsibility. To vote against AB 1267 is to signal complicity in the abuse of children. To vote for it is to give girls like me a real chance at a healthy future.
All righty. Thank you very much. Thank you for your testimony. Others in support of AB 1267, please approach the microphone.
Good evening, Mr. Chair and Senators. Rosanna Carvacho Elliott here on behalf of one of the co-sponsors, Unchained at Last, and happy to answer any technical questions. Thank you.
Kelly Brooks on behalf of the Board of Supervisors, Santa Clara County, here in support.
Good evening, Mr. Chair and Senators. My name is Roscoe Kayanga in support of the bill. Thank you.
Good evening, committee. My name is Sarah Tasneem, and I'm a survivor of forced child marriage, and I'm in support of this bill. Thank you.
Thank you.
Amy Neal, member of the California Coalition to End Child Marriage. Together we will Albany, Berkeley, and support of this bill. Thank you.
Thank you.
Linda Hornada, a member of the California Coalition to End Child Marriage, and also on behalf of the AHA Foundation and Equality Now, here in support.
Thank you. All right. Those who are opposed to AB 1267, please come forward. Going once, going twice. All right. Let's bring it back committee. Questions by committee members. Questions or comments? Senator Wahab. We'll start with Senator Wahab, then Senator Keela Weber. Okay. Weber Pearson. Okay.
Thank you. First, I'm a proud co-author of this bill. This has been a very long conversation that we've had. Literally 4 years ago, this was one of the first bills I brought to the legislature. And I remember a committee consultant telling me, what are you doing? And I said, I would like to ban marriages under the age of 18. And they said, oh, that happens a lot in your culture. Yeah, that's literally what was said to me in my own office. And I want to highlight that this actually affects a lot of different communities of a lot of different religious groups throughout the state of California, let alone this nation and worldwide. Oftentimes, and I will say largely, the victims tend to be women and young girls. That's not to say that it's not boys at the same time. There were, a lot of private conversations and meetings that stated that young girls will not have full autonomy. For example, if they would like a vaccine or something like that. The reality is that we don't allow children to buy cigarettes. We don't allow them to buy liquor. We don't allow them to own weapons. And yet, for some reason, it is completely acceptable to allow them to enter into a legal binding marriage to somebody that's a full-grown adult. And I think that the commentary here by one of the witnesses is absolutely true. A lot of the victims of these types of marriages that we have seen and spoke to straight up said that it was statutory rape. And when that happens, the perpetrator, the rapist, is literally asking for the parent to, well, let me marry them and make things right. There's a lot of religious families and conservative families that believe that two wrongs don't make a right, and they want to correct the first mistake. If there is potentially an offspring in that interaction, they also want to make that right because of their beliefs and, their moral, guidance, if you will. This is a very common sense measure. If we do not allow somebody under the age of 25 to rent a car, somebody, under the age of 21 to drink, tying them to a legal marriage is absolutely inappropriate, and to allow a perpetrator to find a loophole, a statutory rape loophole, is something that we have to correct. This is, I think, every single year there has been an attempt, either from our side in the Senate or through the Assembly, to ban this completely. And yes, I think that if we talk about it, we can highlight the fact that emancipated youth, as one of the witnesses said, that they wish that they were 18 or had more rights, they can kind of speak for themselves. But I also want to be clear, there's a lot of pressure from family members, right? Taboo, if there was a rape, to have shame and to correct it and to blame the victim. And so this bill, again, is very common sense. Many, many other states throughout this nation have already done so, both red and blue states. I also want to highlight that even in this committee, there was a lot of conversation of a lack of data. And even the data that was provided, that was, in my opinion, inaccurate. And, we had a bill that we had to get watered down because this conversation was not brought up enough. And this is the process of the legislature and the building. We bring up an issue, we talk about it for a couple of years, especially if people feel like there's a lot of taboo or misunderstandings or misinformation or just, discomfort in the conversation. So I really want to commend my colleagues on the Assembly for continuously bringing this forward. I want to thank even my own staff for constantly just pushing this. I want to thank everybody that has supported the bill because, again, no person under the age of 18 should be able to marry an adult without full consent and without the full autonomy of their lives. And that's what we are talking about. So I respectfully do ask this committee for an aye vote, and we'll move the bill when appropriate. Thank you.
All righty. Thank you very much. Other comments or questions? Yes, Senator Weber Pearson.
Thank you, Chair. Want to thank the Assembly member for bringing this bill forward and for all of those who came to speak. in support of this bill, and for those who gave personal testimony. Thank you for opening up something that is very personal to all of us. I don't think anyone up here, I can't speak for people on the outside, would agree that a 20-year-old should marry a 14-year-old, that a 30-year-old should marry someone who is 15. That should not happen. But we do give certain rights, as you alluded in your opening, to people who are under the age of 18, because we believe that they have the ability to make those life-changing decisions, somewhat like a contract, on their own. A 13-year-old can get on birth control without parental consent, with or without. A 16-year-old could choose to terminate a pregnancy with or without parental consent. That is could be a surgical procedure depending on how far along that patient is. But we give them that right. A 17-year-old could choose to keep their pregnancy, which is a lifelong contract. For those of us who are parents, understand that it's lifelong. And so I think for me, one of the challenges that I have had in this conversation is that we do grant the ability for people at certain ages under 18 to make very significant decisions. And so I find it interesting that at 17, I can have a child, but I cannot willingly marry the father of that child, even if he is 17 as well. Other states have laws. Not every state has 18. I was just looking that up. Other states have younger than 18. But I think it's kind of, if this were to go through, kind of ironic for California to say, yes, you can have sex on your own and choose whether your parents agree or not. You can get on birth control, terminate pregnancies, keep a pregnancy. But if you and your partner or whatever are the same age, 17, I'm sorry, you have to wait. Mm-hmm. You can't choose on your own to get married. So I applaud you for continuing to bring this bill forward and raising this issue. I'm not sure where I am because it's just this blanket age. Of course, 12, 13, 14, even though we give them the right to do other things with their bodies, which I completely agree with as a OBGYN that specializes in PD-GYN. But it's just an interesting thing for me to say, at 17, you and your 17-year-old boyfriend who are having a child, if you choose to, if you want to get married, that you can't. Mm-hmm. But I thank you so much for bringing this bill forward.
Thank you.
All righty, thank you. Other comments or questions? Seeing none, Senator Wahab has moved the bill. I have committed to vote aye, and I will vote aye, although I take to heart some of the comments by Senator Weber Pearson that there may be some circumstances where you'd want to think about any sort of amendments. So, having said that, would you like to close?
Yes, and we also tell people you wait till the age of 18 to register to vote. You wait till the age of 21 to be able to drink legally. So, these are not unheard of kinds of milestones that people reach. And senators, this is one of those rare votes that future generations will look back on and wonder why it ever took us so long. Today you could take a very important step, a step toward California finally saying children we're talking about, belong in schools and in homes, not in marriages. I respectfully ask for your aye vote.
All righty. Thank you very much. Ms. Porter, please call the roll.
This is file item number 54, AB 1267. The motion is due pass as amended to the Senate Appropriations Committee. Umberg?
Aye.
Umberg, aye. Nilo? Aye. Nilo, aye. Allen? Ashby? Ashby, I. Caballero. Durazo. Durazo, I. Laird. Laird, I. Reyes. Stern. Stern, I. Valadares. Wahab. Wahab, I. Weber Pearson. Wiener. Wiener, I. 8-0.
8-0. We put that on call.